At 2 a.m., Grace pulled her billionaire boss out of a gutter and begged the police not to turn their cameras on. The next morning, he remembered every second, and 6 words he spoke changed both their lives forever. Grace was on her way home from the night shift, uniform still damp from cleaning the tower where he worked. The city was thin and gray. A bar sign buzzed like a fly. Robert Cole was on the curb, suit jacket open, tie crooked, eyes lost. He looked like a man who had fallen out of his life and didn't know how to climb back in. One shoe sat in a puddle. A phone kept ringing in his pocket, but his hand couldn't find it. Sirens wailed somewhere near. Grace crouched. "Mr. Cole," she said, soft. His head turned slow. "Grace," he said, like he had reached for a name in a dark room and found it by luck. "You need to stand," she said. "Can't call a car for you like this. Not here." He tried to rise. His knee slipped on wet stone, and he went down hard on his palm. Grace grabbed his elbow. "Up," she said. He weighed less than his life. A patrol car rolled around the corner, slow. Grace felt her stomach turn to ice. A camera lens glittered from a doorway across the street. "Sir," she said tight, "we're going to the taxi. Head down, hands in your pockets. Let me talk." He nodded like a boy told to be brave. They moved. The police lights washed the wall blue. "Everything okay?" an officer called. "Medical," Grace said. "Blood sugar. He's dizzy. We're heading home." The officer looked at her, then at him. He saw the suit. He saw the stagger. He saw the lens in the doorway, too. "Need an ambulance?" he asked. "It will be worse for him," Grace said, calm. "Let me get him safe." The officer held her eyes like a scale. Then he flicked his fingers at the cab stand and said, "Go!" They went. Grace got him into the back seat, pulled his jacket over his chest, and leaned in close so the camera couldn't catch his face. "Briar Tower," she told the driver. "Side entrance." The driver stared at Robert. "Cash?" he asked. Grace took out her envelope. It was her rent. She pulled 2 20s and a 10 and pushed them forward. "Drive," she said. The car moved. Robert breathed like his chest had bricks on it. He smelled like a man trying to drown grief with a bottle and losing. "Water," he said. Grace twisted the cap on a small bottle she had in her bag and held it to his mouth. He drank like the first rain in a dry summer. "Thank you," he whispered. "Don't talk," she said. "Save your breath." He shifted. His hand brushed hers like a question. "Am I fired?" he asked, and the words were a child's, not a king's. "Not tonight," she said. "Not for this." The cab slid down the empty avenue. Grace asked the driver to turn the radio down. He did. Outside, the city was a long, dark ribbon. Inside, she listened to the sound of a man trying to be small. When they reached the tower, Grace used her badge at the service door. She took him through the quiet halls that smelled like lemon in winter. She had waxed those floors 12 hours a day for 2 years. She knew where the cameras looked and where they blinked. In the private elevator, Robert leaned on the rail, eyes closed, head tipped back. For a moment, he looked like any man on the edge of sleep. Not the owner of the top 20 floors, not the name on the building, not the face on the news. They reached the penthouse level. The doors opened to a hush that cost more than Grace's entire block. Glass, stone, sky. She took him to the sofa and set a bucket by his feet. She found a clean towel. She took off his shoes. "Don't sleep yet," she said. "You'll choke." "Grace," he said, voice thick. "Yes?" "Stay." "I'll make coffee," she said. She made it in a kitchen bigger than her whole apartment. The mugs were white and thin. She brought it to him. He sipped. Color returned to his lips like the tide. "Do you have someone to call?" she asked. He shook his head. "Nobody," he said. He looked at the window. "It's quiet at the top," he said. "Too quiet when you make mistakes." "Drink," she said. "Then sleep on your side." He drank. He lay down, the way she told him. Grace put a pillow behind his back so he would not roll. He caught her wrist with fingers that were once strong and were now just human. "Don't leave," he said. "Not until dawn," she said. "I'll sit by the chair." "Thank you," he said. His hand let go like a door closing without a sound. When he slept, his face looked older, And not because of lines. It looked older because it had carried love and loss and too much money and not enough rest. The city moved from black to charcoal to pearl. Grace watched the sky find color. She watched him breathe. Sometimes she prayed. Sometimes she counted the beats of the second hand on the wall clock to keep fear away. At 6, Robert opened his eyes. He sat up. He looked at her like a man waking in a different house than he remembered buying. He reached for his phone, then stopped. He stood. He smoothed his hair, but his hands shook. He went to the kitchen and washed his face in the sink like a boy at a summer camp. He came back with 2 glasses of water. He put one in front of Grace. "Grace," he said. "Yes, Grace, I remember. You saved me." Those were the 6 words. He said them slow, like he wanted each one to land and stay. Grace didn't answer. Her throat was tight. She was a proud woman. She was also a tired one. Sometimes those 2 parts of her fought. "Sit," he said. He sat across from her, not above her. There was a pause, like a held breath. "I'm sorry you had to see me like that," he said. "I had 2 drinks, then I took a pill to sleep. It was a mistake. It won't happen again." Grace nodded. "My mother takes 3 pills a day. If she changes the time, her body shouts. You have to be careful." He looked at her hands. "You kept me from a headline that would feed wolves," he said. "I won't forget that." Grace reached for her bag. "My shift starts in an hour," she said. "I should go home first." She stood. He stood too. "You dropped this," he said. He held out a small gold locket. It was her grandmother's. Grace didn't know she had lost it. Everything inside her softened and went bright. "Thank you," she said, small. He looked like a man learning that gratitude can fit across a table without breaking it. "Do you have a minute?" he asked. Grace hesitated. Rent was due. Sleep was calling. But something else was calling too. "Yes," she said. He led her to a small office off the living room. It was neat, not like the big office 2 floors down with the leather and the glass and the cold. This one had a plant by a window and a picture of a woman and a young boy on a boat. "Your family?" Grace asked. He nodded once. "Past tense," he said. "I am sorry," she said. He touched the edge of the frame with 2 fingers, then let go. He sat. "Grace," he said, "I looked you up." Her chest went hard. "How?" she asked. "I own this building," he said. "I have a chief of security who thinks being careful is a religion. He ran your badge when the door camera saw you at 2:23 a.m. By 5, I knew your last name. By 5:15, I knew you were once a nurse." Grace stared at him. "I didn't steal those pills," she said, before she could stop herself. He lifted a hand. "I know," he said. The word was gentle. "I read the record. And I read the part no one reads. The part where the charting system failed and the blame slid downhill to the one with the least power. You." Grace sat back. She had not spoken that truth in a long time. There was a cost to saying it. Pride was heavy when carried alone. "I have a mother with bills," she said. "I needed work. I took the night shift. It keeps the lights on. It keeps the shame quiet." He nodded. "Do you like the work?" he asked. "I like honest work," she said. "I like clean floors. I like walking into a room and leaving it better than I found it." He smiled with half his mouth. "Then we are the same," he said. "I build things. I tell myself I leave the world better. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't." He took out an envelope and set it on the table. It was thick. Grace's name was on it in pen. "Open it," he said. "I can't," she said. "Please," he said. She opened it. There was a check. There was also a letter on company paper with 3 lines that made her hands shake. "Debt forgiveness," she read. "Back pay recovery order. Nursing board review request." She lifted her eyes. "I don't take charity," she said, voice thin. "It isn't charity," he said, steady. "It's repair. You did not ask me for anything. You didn't take a picture. You didn't sell a story. You carried me. Let me carry something heavy for you." Grace closed her fingers around the locket in her palm to keep her heart from falling out of her chest. "What do you want?" she asked. He didn't blink. "Truth," he said, "and help. I need someone near me for the next 10 days. Early mornings, evenings, no more drinks, no more mistakes. I need someone who will look me in the eye and tell me when I am about to ruin my life. I will pay you as a senior aide. It's real work. You can say no. Grace tried to swallow. The room felt bigger and smaller at once. I don't know your world, she said. I know clean. I know people. I know when a man is breaking and doesn't want to show it. That's the world, he said. That's all of it. The clock on the wall ticked louder like a heartbeat inside a jar. Say yes, he said. If you do, I think we can fix two lives at once. What about the board? Grace asked. They will say you hired a maid as an aide. They will say you are weak. They will say you are strange. They already say worse, he said, and I am tired of making choices to please men who would watch me drown for a bigger bonus. Grace looked at the plant by the window. A leaf was torn. It grew anyway. Yes, she said, for 10 days. But one rule. Name it, he said. No lies, she said. Not about the past, not about the drinks, not about me, not about you. He stood and held out his hand. It was steady now. No lies, he said. They shook. His palm was warm, human, the same as hers. He let go. Stories like this one remind us that kindness, dignity, and truth still matter. If this resonates with you, subscribe to our channel and join thousands who never miss these moments. Now, back to Grace and Robert, because what happens next will test everything they just promised. Then I should tell you something, he said. I was not the only target last night. Someone wanted me on the ground with cameras rolling. Someone who knew the police route. Someone who also knew your name. Grace felt her skin go cold in a new way. My name? She said. He nodded. He slid a phone across the table. On the screen was a photo taken at 2:02 a.m. It showed Grace's face turned half away and Robert's shoulder. Below it was a message sent to a number she did not know. Is that her? It read. Reply. Yes, Grace, the maid. She will be easy to blame. Her mouth dried out. Who sent this? She asked. He looked at the door like it was a stage curtain. The man who wants my chair, he said. He thinks I don't know. He thinks I won't fight. He thinks he can use you to get to me. Why me? Grace asked. Because you are poor, he said. Because you are a woman. Because you work nights, and no one writes your name on a brass plate. Because men like him think no one will listen to you if you shout. Grace felt the old heat rise in her chest, the kind that came when her pride stood up and refused to sit. I am not easy, she said quiet. No, he said. I saw that on a curb at 2 a.m. He reached for the envelope again and pulled out a second sheet. It was a hospital incident report from years ago, the one that had taken Grace's badge, and her work, and her place in the world. There were notes on it in a neat, hard hand. This was faxed to the board secretary 2 days ago, Robert said. Anonymously. Someone wants to make sure that if your name comes up, it comes with shame attached. Grace's hands went cold. They knew you would find me. Yes, he said. They planned this. Yes. Then why did you still offer me the job? She asked. Robert's jaw tightened. He looked at the picture on his desk again. The woman and the boy on the boat. Because 10 years ago, my wife got sick, he said. Cancer, fast and mean. She lasted 6 months. Near the end, she had a night nurse named Ruth. Ruth was 58. She had raised 4 kids on her own. She had bad knees and a warm voice. She held my wife's hand when the pain came hard. She sang hymns, even when my wife couldn't hear them anymore. He paused. 3 weeks after my wife died, Ruth was fired. They said she had stolen morphine. It was a lie. The system was broken, and she was blamed because she was easy to blame. I found out too late. By then, Ruth had lost her license, lost her house. I looked for her. I never found her. Grace's throat ached. You think I'm Ruth, she said. No, he said. I think you're braver than Ruth ever got the chance to be. And I think this time, I'm not too late. Grace looked at the photo one more time. Then she looked at Robert. Then we fight, she said. Together? He asked. Together, she said. Outside, the sun broke full and gold over the city. Inside, 2 lives that had lived in different worlds shook hands across the smallest and largest distance there was, the space between power and grace. But neither of them knew that in exactly 4 hours, a man in a corner office 3 blocks away would make a phone call that would put both their names on the evening news. And the headline would read, Billionaire and Maid. Scandal or setup? The call came at 10:47 a.m. Robert's phone buzzed on the desk. Grace saw his face change when he read the name on the screen. It's my chief operating officer, he said. Marcus, he answered. He listened. His jaw went tight. When? He asked. Pause. Who leaked it? Pause. Find out. Now. He hung up. Grace stood. What happened? Someone sent a photo to 3 news outlets, Robert said. You and me, last night. The angle makes it look like we were drunk together. The caption says I hired you as a personal aide this morning to keep you quiet. Grace's legs felt hollow. They moved fast, she said. Yes, Robert said. Faster than I thought they would. He picked up his phone again and made a call. Linda, he said, I need our media team in the boardroom in 15 minutes. Full crisis protocol. Yes, I know it's Friday. I don't care. He hung up and looked at Grace. This is going to get loud, he said. If you want to walk away, I understand. I can write you a check. You can go home. No one will blame you. Grace crossed her arms. Will you walk away? She asked. No, he said. Then neither will I, she said. He nodded once, slow. Then we go to war. The boardroom was glass and steel and cold air. 8 people sat around a table that could seat 20. They all stared at Grace when she walked in. Robert sat at the head. Grace sat to his right. A woman in a gray suit stood and tapped a tablet. A screen lit up on the wall. There was the photo. Grace's face half turned, Robert's shoulder, the gutter, the police lights in the background. Below it, the headline. Billionaire Robert Cole seen drunk with employee, hires her hours later. The woman spoke. This hit 3 major outlets 40 minutes ago. Traffic is spiking. Social media is calling it either a scandal or a setup, depending on the thread. We have 2 choices, silence or a statement. A man in a blue tie leaned forward. Silence is safer, he said. Let it blow over. It's Friday. By Monday, something else will be trending. No, Robert said. Everyone looked at him. We don't wait, he said. We speak now. We name it for what it is. A coordinated attack. The woman in gray frowned. That's a strong word. Do we have proof? Yes, Robert said. He nodded at Grace. She took a breath and pulled out her phone. She opened the image Robert had shown her earlier, the message thread. Is that her? Yes, Grace, the maid. She will be easy to blame. Grace handed the phone to the woman. She read it. Her face went pale. Where did this come from? The woman asked. An internal source, Robert said. Someone in this company sent that message. Someone who knew the police route. Someone who tipped the photographer. Silence. The man in the blue tie cleared his throat. Do you know who? Yes, Robert said. He stood. He walked to the window. The city stretched below him like a puzzle he had built piece by piece. Marcus, he said. The room went still. Your COO? The woman asked. Yes, Robert said. He's been positioning himself for months. He thought last night would be my end. He thought Grace would be collateral damage. He was wrong. The man in the blue tie looked sick. If you're right, and you accuse him publicly without ironclad proof, he'll sue. He'll win. This company will lose billions. Then we get ironclad proof, Robert said. Grace spoke for the first time. How? Everyone turned. Robert smiled, and it was not a kind smile. We set a trap, he said. The plan was simple. Robert would call a press conference for 4 p.m. He would announce that he was stepping down temporarily for health reasons. He would name Marcus as acting CEO. Marcus would think he had won. And that's when he would make a mistake. Men who think they've won get careless, Robert said. He'll call someone, text someone, celebrate with someone. And when he does, we'll be listening. That's illegal, the man in the blue tie said. No, Robert said. It's not. Not if he uses a company phone. Not if company policy says we monitor for security. And Marcus always uses his company phone. Grace felt her stomach twist. This was a world she didn't know. A world of moves and countermoves. A world where power was a game played on glass boards in cold rooms. But it was also a world where someone like Marcus could destroy someone like her and sleep fine that night. So she nodded. "Do it," she said. The press conference was a circus. Cameras, lights, questions shouted like stones. Robert stood at a podium. Grace stood behind him, to the side, where the world could see her, but not forget her. "Good afternoon," Robert said. "I am here to announce that I will be stepping back from daily operations for the next 60 days to address some personal health matters. During this time, Marcus Webb, our Chief Operating Officer, will serve as acting CEO. I have full confidence in his leadership." The room exploded with noise. "Is this about the photo? Is she the reason you're stepping down? Did you pay her off?" Robert raised a hand. The room quieted, but barely. "Grace is a valued member of this organization," he said. "She is also a private citizen who deserves dignity and respect. What happened last night was a private medical matter. What is happening now is a calculated smear campaign designed to damage both of us. That's all I will say." He stepped back. The cameras swung toward Grace. She felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, but she did not look away. She stood. She breathed. She let them see that she was not ashamed. 2 hours later, Marcus made the call. Robert's security chief played the recording in the small office. Marcus's voice smug and loose. "It worked. He's out. I'm in. By Monday, I'll have the board votes I need to make it permanent." Another voice. "And the woman?" "Nobody cares about a maid," Marcus said. "She'll disappear. He'll disappear. And I'll have everything." The recording stopped. Robert looked at Grace. "Still want to fight?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "Good," he said, "because now we go public." The second press conference was smaller. No circus, no shouting. Just Robert, Grace, and a lawyer with a folder full of documents. The lawyer spoke first. "We are here to present evidence of corporate sabotage and character defamation orchestrated by Marcus Webb, acting CEO of Coal Industries." She laid out the message thread, the call logs, the payment to the photographer, the timeline. The room was silent. Then Robert spoke. "Marcus thought power was about taking," he said. "He thought the weak were easy to break. He was wrong. Grace could have walked away. She could have taken money and disappeared. But she stayed. She fought. And because of her, we are standing here with the truth." He turned to Grace. "Some of you will say she's just a maid. Some of you will say she doesn't belong in a room like this. But Grace taught me something last night. Dignity is not about the floor you work on. It's about what you do when no one is watching and everything is at stake." Grace felt tears rise, but she didn't let them fall. Robert looked back at the cameras. Marcus Webb has been terminated. A full investigation is underway, and Grace has been offered a permanent position as senior aide and community liaison. She accepted. 1 week later, Grace stood in her mother's kitchen. Her mother was 72, small and strong, with hands that had raised 3 children and buried 1 husband and never stopped moving. "You're on the news again," her mother said, stirring soup. "I know," Grace said. "They're saying nice things now." "Some of them." Her mother turned. "Are you happy?" Grace thought about it. She thought about the nights she had scrubbed floors and prayed for morning. She thought about the shame she had carried like a stone. She thought about Robert's office and the picture of his family, and the way he had said, "I'm not too late this time." "I'm not there yet," Grace said, "but I'm not where I was." Her mother nodded. "That's a start." 3 months later, Grace walked into a hospital conference room. 20 nurses sat in folding chairs. They were tired. They were scared. They were angry. The hospital was blaming them for missing medication. The system had failed, but the blame was sliding downhill. Grace knew that story. She stood at the front. She told them what had happened to her. She told them about the night she lost everything. She told them about the man in the gutter and the choice she made to stay. "You are not invisible," she said. "You are not easy to break. and you are not alone. If you fight, I will fight with you. One by one, they stood. 1 year later, Robert and Grace sat in the small office with the plant by the window. The company was stable. Marcus was gone. The nursing board had restored Grace's license. She could go back to the hospital if she wanted. But she didn't want to. I like this work, she said. Building things, fixing things, helping people who got blamed when the system broke. Robert smiled. Then stay. I will, she said. He looked at the picture on the desk, the woman and the boy on the boat. I think she would have liked you, he said. Ruth? Grace asked. My wife, he said. And Ruth, too. Grace stood. She touched the edge of the frame, the way he had once touched it. Then I'll stay for both of them, she said. She walked to the door. She stopped. Robert, she said. Yes? Thank you for remembering. He looked at her, and his eyes were full. Thank you for staying, he said. That night, Grace rode the train home. The city passed by in streaks of light and shadow. She thought about power and grace, and all the distance between them. She thought about the curb and the cameras, and the man who had needed help, and the woman who had given it. She thought about the fact that sometimes the smallest choice becomes the largest turning point. And she thought about the 6 words he had said at dawn. Grace, I remember. You saved me. But the truth was simpler and deeper than that. They had saved each other. If this story touched your heart, you're not alone. Every week, we share true stories about courage, redemption, trust, and the choices that change lives forever. Join over 50,000 viewers who never miss a story that matters. Subscribe to Emotional Stories right now and hit the bell so you'll know the moment our next story goes live. Your next favorite story is waiting. And if Grace and Robert's journey moved you, leave a comment below and tell us. What would you have done in Grace's place? We read every single one. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about stories that remind us what it means to be human. See you in the next story.